We're in a band, the Charles Band. You know, the Full Moon Empire. I'm your host, Sully. I'm going to solidify why Empire Pictures and Full Moon has fucked up everyone's life for the better. Here from the good, the bad, and the sequel. It's not Jamie, it's Doug Dietz.
How you doing, Cam?
Very good, sir. How are you, my dude?
Good. Excited to talk about not only Full Moon that the people think about, because you think Full Moon and you think there's just like this one part of Full Moon, you know, like Killer Dolls,
Romanian
like
vampires,
all the newer stuff, right? But then there's like the family movies that they did for a little bit too. So that I might have a prop here for one of those.
Careful,
movies,
guys!
But
we're opening up Hell's Gate. Let's go fishing. So yeah, there's been numerous ones. Obviously, no one can see this, but we got it came from the video store aisle.
Because of the green screen, it's like blocking it, but is that demonic toys? It looks like Doll Man.
Yeah, it came from the video aisles. That was a good book. There's another one recently called Pulling the Strings, and it's just interesting how he's been the focus of so many books, sometimes even put in the same conversation. I mean, for God's sakes, Charles did a documentary where he and Roger Corman just have a giant conversation for 2 hours. So, I mean, like you say, it's been in parts of our lives. It's been embedded. We didn't always know the name of it. There's so many Twilight Zone and Star Trek and even sitcom actors in these damn movies. It's just unreal. And to even see how everyone in every single interview has pretty much said, hey, Charlie, pretty nice guy. His brother Richard has scored, History Channel and Stargate and other documentaries, and his father formed the company. He took it over, and everyone who's been on set, even if they thought the movies were stupid, has just said, hey, professional, quick film shoot. You'll see plenty of bizarre Outer Limits or Babylon 5 type genre people in them, even just others. So sometimes you see people from all these other goofy made-for-TV direct-to-video movies like the AIP and PM Entertainment Group guys. They literally went from one set to the next.
yeah. They walk next door. But no, I like to talk about what you just said. I've interviewed some special effects guy that worked on like the Blob, the remake of the Blob, like all these big movies like Freddy's Dead in the 80s and 90s.
Right?
And then they're working on they worked on Evil Bong, and it was 777. And they just talked about like how crazy it was with what he was building, like this giant like Abraham Lincoln or the giant Elvis creature looking guy. Mm-hmm. And he just said like it's so fun because you're kind of doing like this like kind of like guerrilla filmmaking, because you're doing it on a shoestring budget, kind of like Roger Corman. You're making whatever's with it, and you're making movies, and that's what he's been able to do for so long. So many other studios fold. Somehow he knows the process of making these, just keep making money so he can keep doing it.
1,000%. And it's weird. While it's even more, I'm not sure what's funnier, where they get the money versus how they make all these shortcuts and make what takes a $20 million movie to do, and they get it done in like a few weeks. But yeah, it's so unreal. If you love that, you got to seek out. There's this great podcast that's everything Planet of the Apes called Talking Ape.
Oh, I've heard of it. I gotta watch it. I'm a huge Skywalker's
Network. I think it's Tony Bechtel or whatever, I think, is the main host. And it's so funny. He gets a bunch of fan mail. And one time, someone who had seen him do like puppeteering for like, I think, both Chucky and a Full Moon movie, back when VHS had a special feature after the program had finished. Someone got that and uploaded it to him. And he's like, holy shit. He couldn't curse. It's a PG program, but he was guffawing uproariously. He's like, I forgot this was a thing. And I actually got interviewed. And he reminds me very much of Chris Wallace, the award winner effects guy behind The Fly and Enemy Mine, and how he would always talk about how when he worked on the first Gremlins, how he put his back out. He even reminds me of some of the other Jim Henson Mystery Science Theater guys who can be off color. It's the best kind, because like you say, he hears everything everyone has to say, and he's just happy that anyone wants to talk about it, instead of just, like you say, being selective or depends on the day, like Tom Savini. It's just interesting how a lot of these guys, they just have a fun sense of humor. And I love Charlie Band and himself because he just says straight up, if you don't want me to make more of these movies, stop fucking buying them. I'm like, thank you. That's hysterical. You see so many people who just, I mean, who can sound like, bitter after a while. Like Roger Corman would always do the whole, you don't appreciate a low budget. And it's like, just blow it off, guys. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. And
you're right. If people don't buy the tickets to the movies, just like nowadays when it comes to like original movies, like even this past weekend, a couple original movies came out. They didn't do too well, and it's not that people don't want to make original movies, but they don't make money, which kind of sucks because you won't get original ideas. You only have studios like the lower budget B movie studios that are kind of trying something that's different. Yeah, that's the only way that you can try something that's like different.
It's a very problematic. I mean, a lot of people, yes, the average user, they'll tell you FUBAR is pretty fucking hysterical. Arnold's new sitcom. I'm seeing every other person just eviscerate it. And I'm like, see, this is one mistake Arnold make. Never marry a Kennedy. Because if they hate you,
never mind.
They control the media, so they will fucking destroy you if they don't.
Or don't cheat on a Kennedy. That's probably what it is. Don't cheat on a Kennedy. Because if they were still together, everybody would be like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be winning an Academy Award."
I feel like he kind of did this to spite his marriage, because like his ex-wife on the sitcom is Hispanic, so you're like, yeah, this is very meta.
His wife is on the show. It's the
Austin Powers Babylon 5 gal.
Yes, and I always think of her in Summer School as well. She's a foreign exchange.
Oh yes, she was on that.
Yeah,
it's been around forever.
She posted that. I'm like, that's so cool for stuff. Like that's what's great about Hollywood, because I've interviewed so many people, like actresses, and they get aged out of Hollywood. Like men, they basically like you get to like 30 or something, they're like, all right, we're gonna put some gray in your hair and you're gonna make you look older. But women, they're like, you're out. You hit 30, then you can't be an attractive younger. It's like, come on, man. Look at people like Barbara Crampton.
Unless you got just like the best surgery or Olay makeup in the world. But it doesn't make any sense. Why should someone like her, just because her name's not Julia Roberts or Julianne Moore, not get anywhere? I know.
No, it's ridiculous.
And you don't have to win an award to prosper either. So it's just like, what do you guys want? What do you want? And Charlie, I think the difference between him and, like you say, some of the other knockoff guys who can seem very nice, but clearly should pick a different profession, like selling cars, is he has a sense of humor, and he will remind you, fucking laugh at this. This is stupid. Why would you take this seriously? And he has fun. He has the 90-minute rule. Half the time he steps into the chair, and I think that's what I respect about him even more. And when he was doing all these shitty movies post-COVID, I mean, I can't blame him for that either. He wanted to keep his empire up and running. He wanted to just keep going. Never say die. I like that mentality, as opposed to the Asylum, where they're like, hey, let's see how crazier we can get with this while doing Sharknado to death.
Yeah. And it's funny, like you mentioned Roger Corman before. One of Roger Corman's go-to guys is now Full Moon, Jim Wynorski.
Right?
He just had the Bigfooter bust.
I saw that. Oh my God.
55. I interviewed Jim. He's quite the character, but he's done like one of my favorite kids movies.
That's actually how I discovered you, my dude.
Oh, Munchie? Is that how?
Because you're a Jim interview.
Okay. I thought you're a Munchie fan.
Weird.
I have a Munchie post. I have my Munchie poster over there, but my daughter loves it, and they're like fun movies. The character, does he make any sense? No, because he doesn't help the kid. He's some kind of alien, I guess, when he looks like I don't know, like a chipmunk, sort of. Yeah. And he's voiced by two old actors doing jokes. No, it was Dom DeLuise in the. It's kind of because it's actually a sequel, but the original one's Munchies, which it's nothing to do with that one. But Munchie Strikes Back, that is the guy from WKRP Cincinnati. I should know his name. He just passed away. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. But
he was good as Munchie too. They were both great, but they did all like really old jokes. But anyway, now that the movie seemed to be working good because he has Jim doing another one already, I think, because he did
I
like
saw he had another
Killbots.
one. Yeah,
Killbots, which is like a sort of
Shopping
sequel
Mall
to
sequel. Yeah.
Yep. And he did the Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. There's a sequel to that already. So not like Jim would listen to me, but I'm friends on Facebook and I'll comment. I'll be like, how about another munchie? You got this guy's ear. Why not? You know?
It's funny how he's a very grumpy man and he seems to vary by person. It's so funny. I've even seen, you can let me know if I should edit this out. He had one podcast he was on, which was called like Bad Movies or some shit. And he was fine participating in it. And then I saw other people he was on, like the Schlock Pit, and he's like, oh, I don't want to be on it because it's called Schlock. It's like, oh, dude. So he's very selective. Sometimes he has to, be paid for an interview, and other times he'll do it for free if he's bored. You never know, but I do feel like he and Fred Ray like to fuck with fans after a while.
Yeah. Oh, Fred's cool too, man. I like him because they're kind of the same. They had a lot of that same
Andrew
actors like
Stevens,
work for them.
Cinemax and everything. And
I love Andrew Stevens, man. Great.
Oh yeah, as close as I've been to him was talking to the director of Ballistic Experts.
Good stories about him. I heard from Jim, he had good stories. And I interviewed a few other people that worked cinematographer or on Munchie.
I heard from Beverly Gray how whenever he was filming those Night Eyes movies, how all he would be wearing was a sock.
Oh my god. Because in the third Night Eyes, the third Night Eyes movie, because I wanted to cover that to mess with Jamie, was it has Gene Simmons' wife in it.
Yes,
she's
does.
in it, and her sister, and they do like a weird like they're the same person in it or something. I remember, really. That's bizarre, man.
It is very bizarre. The first one I saw was part 4, just because it had Casper Van Dien. It's barely
dude.
anything to do with it. He comes in, shoots a guy while robbing the place, and then the rest of it is just schlocky fun. But yeah, Andrew is like Roger. He can vary. Basically, anyone who got fired by him spites him, and other people who worked for him for a while had fun stories, and it just varies. It's kind of like Joel Silver, I call it, but on a low budget.
Oh yeah.
Long story short, Warner Brothers and HBO, when they made a deal with Franchise Pictures, which I kind of consider Canon Films 2.0. I mean, given all the embezzlement and money they had, is just like basically they were doing good for a while and surviving all the bad reviews, and then the Battlefield Earth scandal. That's pretty much what killed them. They never recovered from that. And then
really, I gotta
having
read more
all
about
those
that.
acclaimed David Mamet movies, that didn't make any bank, and other Stallone failures. That's pretty much what undid them. But and that was like so eye-opening to me. I'm not trying to go too much on a tangent, but like when I saw, hey, there's all these movies like Spartan, and they were only in theaters for 2 weeks and made barely any bank. That's embarrassing. That should be a punishment suited for Jiggly, not for this movie. But yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of Ballistic Experts ever, and just talking to people over the years and getting the chance to talk to the director was a blast, because he had no idea how much a similar career he had to like Albert Pion and even John Woo at times, where it's just like there's just a lot of Asian bigotry back in Hollywood back in the day. And
I know, dude. I just I interviewed it comes out tomorrow. I don't know when this is coming out, but it's coming out on June 1st. I interviewed Jeffrey Reddick, who created and wrote.
I love that dude, Final Destination.
Yeah. So I chatted with him, and again, it's a reality. And like, even though you and I were probably like kids at the time, like early 90s, obviously even before that, but like if you were like African American or mixed race, then it was like, you know what? Because he wanted to be an actor, but his agent was like honest with him and said like they're not hiring for any roles for you. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
For anybody that says, hey, what's going on? Why are people complaining about stuff? It's like, dude, that's not that long ago. And then 30 years before that, the world was a different place too. So it's like
now that we're seeing fandoms get toxic, I think pretty much the people who, this is where bringing it around to Charle Band, I think this is why he works well, is because he doesn't tell people off, but he just reminds them, hey, I don't care what you have to say. So that just gives them the invite. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
And everyone else kind of just falls victim into it. There's almost always someone who just decides, I'm going to be a stuck up piece of work, and it's like, well, why go there? And
Yeah.
I think the other direct-to-video guys just kind of fell apart after a while, just because I guess if they didn't get a big head, then I guess they just decided, I don't want to deal with this person or what have you, or the studio notes. And it's like, well, you're going to have to anyway, so you might as well just read them the riot act. Usually that works.
Yeah. And
In
he
my
never,
opinion.
one thing that was great about Charles and was smart for him, he never, and not saying maybe he wanted the opportunity and just never did it, but I don't see him being like that. Like riding a star, like like Stallone with Cannon. Like, hey, we're gonna give you all this
Good
money.
contrast. Yeah.
That is basically like, we're gonna give you all this money, and it's basically gonna be the whole budget for the entire movie. So everything else is gonna be kind of filler. The script's not gonna be good. Like, I think it was Over the Top was the one that he
That's the one
basically
that
paid
broke
him
him.
like the entire and they had so many like good movies that made hits. Like Barfly's a really solid movie. Runaway Train, solid movie. But
So
then
much
he would
fun.
do all these other movies that he was paying these stars. I think because it was like to have the power and the money, it'd be like, hey, I got Stallone in my movie. Like, this guy's like the biggest guy in Hollywood. But it definitely backfired. But no, with Charles, he was smart with the movies. Like, I just talked to Sam Irving, the
I was
director
a
of
wonderful
Oblivion.
dude. All those
Yeah.
Elvira stories, so
Oh, dude.
out of this world. You
He
can't
was
repeat
cool.
that either. The market's just not there anymore.
Yeah, but Oblivion 2, like such cool movies. And when he was in Romania with Elvira,
When
he
I
sent me a
saw
photo and it was still there. The set is still in
this,
Romania.
it's still there in Romania. Shit.
Yeah.
Like they need to use it more often then. But
Oblivion
fuck,
3, man. Why not? All these
Oblivion free. Owen crossed it over with those crazy Danny Trejo horror westerns. The one where he's like a undead zombie outlaw killing other outlaws. You know, the one something in darkness or whatever. But they did two of them, and when I instantly saw them, I was like, that's Oblivion 2.0 or 3.0, one of the two. And, but no, that is a good point, because he valued the sets, and to his credit, not to be a diss on Roger Corman, he has his purpose, but I think I like him more than Roger Corman because it's less apparent when he does it. Like when he reuses something for his subspecies, he uses it for some other gothic Hammer horror tribute, and same thing with these sets. Yeah, he uses them for basically all his transfers and subspecies and other movies, and sometimes he just does his own thing, and I'm like, see, that works too, because you're valuing all the people who worked on it. I've never heard of, if I've heard of anybody who was stuck up, the closest we had was Misty Monday, and I think it's just she's over the top in general. But everyone else who's been on his movies pretty much showed up on time, because you hear all these other people on New World Pictures who were past their prime. Like I think I saw all this info on Vamp, which I forgot was a New World Pictures movie, and how Grace Jones, they had to shoot around Grace Jones, just who would randomly just go on vacation without a moment's notice. And that was just mind opening to me, because it's like, oh man, that would not fly anywhere today.
No. Any of those, and nobody would even do that anymore. It was like the
No
last
one has
time you ever
time.
heard somebody give a shot to somebody, it was like when Robert Downey made his comeback, sort of comeback after his one rehab stint. I think it was in the late 2000s.
I think it was. Yeah.
I forgot what movie it was, but they basically made him like get an insurance policy so if he like flaked. You would never even hear of that now. Like,
yeah,
I guess the closest is that Ezra Miller nut job that like
that's
I don't think
point.
It wasn't like he wasn't showing up on set. He was just like pseudo kidnapping a kid in Vermont or something weird. I don't know.
I mean, that's why I'm harder on that movie versus Batgirl. Is like test screenings don't mean shit.
I want to see Batgirl.
I do too. I'm like, test screenings don't mean shit. They never have. They never will. I don't know why anyone still uses them other than for, like you say, insurance purposes. But why is it's like, something's bad when people are both excited for the Flash and want it to fail because they hate the star and his shitty behavior.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the movie looks good. So it's just like, we're in a lose-lose situation here.
I know. No, they want it like with the Batgirl. I think it goes back to what you were saying. It was like with those smaller pictures.
Smaller.
I
love that keyword.
Smaller pictures.
Better,
but no.
Mark.
No, I forgot who what I think it was Dan Gordon. He was a director in like the 80s. I'm trying to think what movie it was, but he talked about when he was on the movie, they were basically telling him just to like blow money, like on whatever,
my
because
God.
they were basically money laundering through the movie he was making. They didn't even care if he made money. But it's funny, like it's basically like that's obviously a crime, but doing something like they're doing in Batgirl is sort of a crime too in a way, because what they're gonna do is just write off that loss and put it towards something. It's a joke. Like, just put the movie out. It will make them. I guarantee, if they put that movie
It'll
out,
make Morbius money. Yeah.
Oh, Morbius.
I completely concur.
If that movie made to the movie theater, how can Batgirl not make it? And Michael Keaton's in that movie. Who else in that movie? What's the
other
Easter
Easter eggs, but
Brendan Fraser plays like Flashpoint or one of those comic book guys.
I thought he played his robot character, but that might be too much to ask. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's just like, because the first thing everyone thinks when it's all said and done is don't talk smack about your material and have something on your demo reel. That's all you care about when you're a working hired gun. But
yeah,
that's why I detest it, because I'm like, okay, let the people decide if it's good or not. Everything's reevaluated nowadays, but let people put it on their resume instead of only a select kind can do it, and then cock blocks say you cannot yada yada do this and all that. And I'm like, well, no, this doesn't work. And Charles is really good also at just, again, these guys literally, I keep going back to B5 because it's similar. They rent out little places to use, and then they go about their business, and they're done by like 6 or 8 at night, and everyone has a chance to do something. I'm like, see, that is magic. People will remember those. Even when Tim Thomerson just is blunt, making fun about what stupid movies he's done, he's sincere, and that's just part of his comedy routine. And that just kind of gets everybody to just kind of just open up. So you're not afraid of, if you just say, hey, you know, I love your work, but I just couldn't get into that movie. There's no harm done. Unlike, like you say, with some of these other productions we talked about, where someone did inevitably get hurt, like they killed their career, or they decided, hey, or they went to jail for embezzlement, or they just said, I'm just uncomfortable in my shoes, I don't want to talk about this. Well, that sucks if you can't talk about it, because it's kind of your job.
Yeah, no, especially that girl. I would know her name if I saw the movie, but for her, that sucks, because that could have made her a life change. No matter what, it would have made her either a star, but even if it failed, she would have been somebody that could be in other things and get a role just for what she did. And that must have been a hard interview process. I'm sure it wasn't like, hey, we want you, it's over.
I
sure
hope
there's a bunch of auditions
and said, give me a name to change and let me go from there, because this was supposed to be it. And I didn't get it. And I'm sure The Rock is now going to start being picky, because he's what you call the financial security mainstream celeb. But when you work on so many movies and people piss on it, that cannot be good for your mental health. And this is just where it gets just, I'm trying to think of a better word to say it. You got to be able to just be happy about what you offer, instead of just constantly just letting that failure weigh on you, because it will disturb you. It will piss you off. It will annoy you to death. And you don't, why let that eat you up, you know? But even when Charles just tries too hard, I think the reason he appeals so much to as kind of Evil Dead or Joe Dante light is because he just, it's not that he doesn't care. He has no shame. Like any of these other comedians, a lot of people like, he's just, when he posts something outrageous on social media, you remember it and you just laugh your ass off, because you're like, just what I needed, man. I don't know why that made me guffaw so hard. It's really not even that well thought out, but it's fucking hysterical.
Now, what are some of your like what like? Do you remember like the earliest like movie that you saw? Obviously, when you were like more kids,
Female Alien.
Like, which one?
Female Alien.
That was the first one that you remember seeing. Really?
No shame.
No shame at all. It's movies, man.
I read about it in a TV guide. I'm like, when can I record this shit?
When can I put the VCR on?
Will I get in
record
trouble?
at 1 o'clock in the morning?
And then to just see, I always saw posters of everything just at the video stores or showings of that the initial run of Empire and Full Moon, like when they were Empire was closing down, and then Foreign Full Moon was Paramount distributed a bunch of them. So there were plenty of other ones that factored into it that were just stupid beach comedies and other just killer doll movies, and I never put two and two together, realizing, Stuart Gordon was a gun for hire back in this day before he made Reanimator, and he did this and that. And I'm like, did you ever see Arena?
Somebody just posted it. I put it to my queue. It's on Tubi. I need to watch it because I'm like, the poster is so cool. And
It's
I'm like,
Rocky in
how have
space,
not seen it? Yeah, I gotta watch it.
Gets rediscovered like every other year for whatever reason. There's just something it's kind of like, I mean, he uses David D. Contell and Wynorski a lot, but he uses so many other guys to where it's just like, you kind of can't they're wacky characters in and of themselves to where it makes sense why they're all working together, because they really are all that wacky. And I just find it funny because you never really know what they're going to do. And one of these days, I'm hoping they do Dollman versus Jack Death from Transfers. Like, that would be epic. You wouldn't have to do anything. Just have close Tim Thomerson in different wardrobe and get it done. And I mean, he always references it because he can't not. Like, he did this stupid movie called Live Evil, which was him basically in that same mode, except he's killing vampires instead of zombies from the future.
Oh, really?
And he just guffaws, like, because I was fortunate enough to talk about Jim Waffle, who worked for the longest time on some of those Full Moon and Roger Corman works. But basically, he's done some pretty decent B horror films since then. And when they ask him at this panel that's on the DVD, is like, Tim's asked, what drew you to the script? He's like, well, it was fucking stupid, and I knew I could do it justice. I'm like, that's a great answer.
That is a great answer.
Fucking stupid.
You read a script and you get have fun with it. Like, really, like, that's what it's about. You're playing, you know? Like, I interviewed Peter Jason, a big time character actor, like,
Night
ton
of the
of
Living
credits.
Dead Free Man. Oh man.
But whenever he talked about like seeing, he was on Arachnophobia and he saw Spielberg just like playing with the kids that were on set, and he's like, that's all I do. He goes, I say goodbye to my wife and I go play for 3 months on a movie wherever I'm at. He's like, it's all about having funny, because that's all it is.
I mean, there's a reason he's a Walter Hill regular when he's not.
Walter Hill and Carpenter. Like, that's
Carpenter.
They know. Yes. They know. He said Carpenter gave the best gifts for sets, like leather jackets. He said he had a cool one from it wasn't They Live, it was which one? I think it was They Live, I don't know, but it's some cool it's cool when you have those people, because those are the best people in movies. Like, obviously the stars are cool, but when you're watching a movie and you see that side character who's barely in it but important, like given like exposition, and you're like, oh shit, I know that guy crushes. And then it's good to see a guy like Peter Jason or like Stuart Pankin,
Tony
those guys like
Todd,
that.
Lance Henriksen.
Yes.
I love Yancey Butler from Hard Target and Drop Zone. And she's another one who, due to being a drunk, she's not often employed. But I'm like, see, everybody should give her more work because she's very, very kind, even when she doesn't have her shit together. But
yeah, Patrick Kilpatrick. Like, there's so many good bad guys that are like, yeah, he was pretty cool. But no, like, there's so many of these people that you see in these movies that it's like, get them back. They need to be more,
even like, just don't wear down their ego, but just let them know this is no loaded questions. Just let them know, hey, I don't want to ask you for the time about your famous roles. I want to know why you inhibit them so well. And whatever you can do to just alternate description or adjective that you got to add, and just let them know, hey, this really is, I do actually legit care. This is not scripted. Whatever you got to do to just, because I'm sure they've had plenty of just angry fans and other annoying shit to have to deal with. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sorry you've had that experience. It's going to unfortunately happen when you're on a convention scene. There's going to be people who touch you and you're like, stop, dude. I'm not a zombie. I'm not a pet, It's just amazing how we got to in order to have them open up, we got to remind them we're not one of the crazies who you avoid on a regular basis.
Yes, we're not one of the we're not one of the crazies.
We're not one of your co-stars who you still want to punch in the face these days.
Now, like I mentioned before, like your first one, you remember? There's like two because my buddy had older brothers, so
That's how it happens.
Puppet Master was super early, but it's funny. Like I saw Puppet Master, not knowing it was full moon,
All
like
the time
until
on
like obviously when you get older.
and Spike TV and AMC. AMC loved to show the first one for whatever reason. It was just easy to show, and
they're great. They are great. The stop motion animation they used to use. Obviously now it costs more, and I get it. So I know
it actually makes it creepier.
Oh,
if you think about
100%. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It just costs a lot of money to take that many pictures and that much time on a set. Like I used to do stop motion as a hobby with like clay and stuff. And it's like really, it takes like hours upon hours just to get like a minute. So I get why movies can't do it. But when you're watching like the newer Puppet Masters, you're like, I wish they would move. I wish they would move. And I feel bad because I don't like comparing sequels or different types of movies because then like it's one thing I don't like to do. But when there's like that one wrinkle in a movie that I think is so important, I'm like, oh man. But then at the same time, like Pre-Hysteria, like that movie I remember so well because I saw that, and then the next year, Last Action Hero, that kid's in it, and he's also in Huck Finn, right? He was a JTT in like the other kids movie, the same kid.
That was also what was cool about it. When they made a legit kids movie, kind of like Munchie, it felt like a legit kids movie you could actually show where the schlockiness worked instead of just being a stupid, just very clearly very cheap, made for TV movie you were never going to watch again.
And they stopped it pretty quick. They did it as Moonbeam Entertainment. I'm cheating.
Moonbeam.
I have a list of them.
Yes.
I have a list of them, but no, like Remote, like they had so many in a row, and then they really just got. They're
Guess
probably
who
just
worked
like,
on
we're not
Remote?
gonna do it anymore. Who?
Matthew Weiner. That's right. The head writer on Sopranos and creator of Mad Men. That was one of his first gigs.
That's what I love. I love that about. That's what I love about these movies.
He probably has even more hysterical stories about it. I'll just guess.
Shit. That's awesome. No, it's cool when people start. So here's my little. Obviously, this is audio, but for you, Pet Shop, 1994, Moonbeam Entertainment.
Pet Shop, baby.
Oh
man, that's a total Gizmo Gremlins thing, and distributed by Paramount. Love it.
Look at
I have not heard of this. I want it. I want it already.
Oh, dude, it's about this girl that goes to a pet shop and all the things are like creepy. They look like they basically took the ones from PG and probably moved them around a little bit the way they look. But no, but those are the movies that kids enjoy. Like nowadays, like there's no movies like that are the family movies like a weird creature. Like my daughter, like we were talking about it before. I don't know if we were recording it, but like Munchie, Mac and Me. Like my daughter loves Mac and Me, and I'm like, I get why. Like it's like this silly, creepy looking alien that's frightening looking, like really, but it's just stupid and it's fun. Nowadays, you don't get those movies. It's so rare to get a family movie to come out like that.
It can't happen every day, that's for sure. I see so many others who just, like you say, it's like it's kind of a lost art. I'm totally with that. It seems like nowadays, unless it's just absolutely like just blows people's mind, disturbs them, or is just downright stupid, people just don't seem to be comfortable doing any of this. It's almost kind of like a lose-lose, and he's like one of the few who, even when he's trying too hard or gets someone who's not even good at making what they're trying to make, he still remembers where he came from, and I think just having the family environment just helped him even more because it just reminded him, hey, remember, you're here to entertain, not be a dick.
Yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials and our outdated opinions. Join us every Tuesday as we discuss movies, TV, games, and even music, new and old.
Dude, what do you think you're doing?
Are you seriously trying to record a promo without us right now?
Well, yeah.
Dude, you can't just do the promo by yourself. Who's gonna listen to that?
Yeah, and you probably haven't even told them that we're a pop culture podcast where we always agree on everything. For instance, the Sam Raimi trilogy easily being the best of the Spider-Man movies.
No. But I think we can all agree that Jaws is a classical masterpiece.
Nope, don't like that. But we do all agree that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is the best in the Skywalker saga, right, guys?
That comment is so ridiculous. I don't even know where to
Anyways, that'll do it from all of us here at Culture Shock. Thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Are you a fan of the Trancers movies?
Oh, you know it, my dude. I even recommend everyone should see part 4 and 5 just because of how bad they are, and because that's where David
I'm trying
Nutter,
to think who's in 4 and 5. Well, I interviewed Gregory S. Cummings, who's in one of those, but I forgot which one he's in.
I think in part 2 or 3.
Oh, part 2,
yeah.
okay.
Definitely one of the ones that has the super soldiers or Richard Lynch. But yeah, to your point, he does seem. Greg is lovely, but I always got him mixed up with the other guy who was on Bosch.
Troy Evans, Barrel,
not Barrel, he is the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
My
Greg
bad.
Barrel,
That is Greg. I get him mixed up with Shark Freelick, who's been in a lot of those other AIP movies, and but they were just kind of interchangeable because sometimes Shark did stunts and Greg did do a lot of physical job gigs, often playing a biker and everything before he got on better stuff like Cliffhanger and Bosch. But that's a good point too, because like those guys, they understand this business better than anybody, and they just remind everyone, hey, they kind of have the Sam Jackson, Danny Trejo motive down to a T. Be the easiest thing about the production instead of the hardest thing. Don't ask for a trailer, let other people eat first, or don't be a pig, don't be a slob, and make lines instead of just causing, and suggest something instead of be like, oh, I don't know, you're the director, don't belittle people. And I think that's what too often happens nowadays. I see so many people just destroy each other to where they're just like, oh, you should direct. And it's like, well, why go there?
Yeah, you're not going to see movies do so well. Like, I've talked to some people that they mentioned like these big stars that they work with, and it's like, he had his own trailer, he had his own gym, and it's like, oh yeah, you're talking about the movie that lost 100 million? Oh, okay. Because there's that camaraderie with filmmaking. Like, it could be a big budget movie or a smaller budget movie, but if the people aren't like getting along together, like even like trying to think of because that's what's interesting about like Full Moon, which they have like these different, like I would say in the last 20 years, they're primarily horror flicks for the most part, right?
But the best part, like they're just goofy fun without being like torture porn or just, oh my God, I think I just saw someone actually die. Some of them are legit cool. Like they do have competent creature effects. I recommend, especially the subspecies ones. But yeah, then there are other ones where they're just like, hey, it's basically, again, our Ash Williams, our Gremlins formula.
Yeah.
Don't take
Evil
it serious.
Bong, the Evil Bong movie.
Evil Bong, and then crossing it over with Jack Death and what's the other one that's just crazy?
Ginger Dead Man, that one?
That's what it was, yes. Oh my God, I just saw 5 of those. They were a waste of time, but everyone should see them. Because I think that the thing about it, I don't regret anything about them because they embrace their stupidity instead of just being too much for their own good. Because I see so many other people who, again, you'll see them in interviews and they clearly weren't in on the joke. Like they took the premise so seriously, and these guys, they know instantly what they were doing since day one.
Yeah.
And they embrace it. And that pretty much makes the egos manageable. And to your point on Jim Wynorski taking it over, I can only imagine what they're going to do next. Because once they're done with Killbots, I'm sure they'll do a bunch of other crazy shit that they'll joke
I would
about.
love for, again, like sequels to like obviously I mentioned Munchie, but would love, I don't know if you have the resources, but I love Return to the Swamp Thing. Like Jim's take on that movie. That was a cool movie. I don't know if he would do another one of that.
They probably lost the DC license, but they could definitely, with all the
House Massacre, I would love another one of those. Like
Dr. Madrid was their Doctor Strange answer at the time. I'm sure they could do another knockoff with some of the other comic book authors and writers they hired back in the day.
Yeah, but I think Jim could do that because people are obviously people are renting those movies. Like Big Fear Bus for a little bit was on Tubi. It was on like Prime for free a little bit, and then I think now it's back to.
I think he figured out after Prime is like, I'm only going to put like the violent ones on there. Anything that has sleaze or too much gore, you should just not even, bother because they're going to ask you to change it.
Yeah.
Too often.
No, let's hope we get some of those, but it'd be cool because I know they wouldn't do a family type movie, but it's cool that they did the Killbot movie. Shopping Mall's a really good movie. Like I really enjoy that movie.
So
great cast, people in it are great. The setting's cool. Crazy premise that they put robots in a mall that are gonna start killing people, but lightning bolts do a lot in horror, right?
Oh, totally. And given how Jim, part of why people watch his crazy movies is because both he and Fred will do very self-deprecating DVD commentaries. Do you think Charles will ever do something like that, or does he just stick to doing interviews because he's crazy busy?
Yeah, I don't know if he would. I don't know. That's a good question. I do like his interviews. He does a great interview.
He's
like
very
Charles,
balanced.
Like his chat with John Carpenter was really cool.
Oh, I've never seen that. I've seen the Larry Cohen one.
He has the series that just came out. It might have started last year. And
is it like Joe Dante's podcast kind of?
It was more like Charles just sitting with people talking, like shit.
So just like the Roger Corman one. Okay.
So it was John Carpenter. I think he interviewed Barbara Crampton, like a bunch of different people. I'm like, this is so rad. Nice. And I feel it's crazy. Like I remember like a few years ago, I was looking at like Full Moon because I interviewed somebody and they worked for them. And there was like a list of like the before any of the movies that they made. It was the ones they produced. And it was more like the 70s, the ones that go way back. And it's so funny. I talked to a couple people, like their first movies were Full Moon. And it's like so funny. Like they worked at Full Moon and like 6-7 years later, they were directing like American Ninja, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo for Canada, Dan Furstenberg. But it's cool. Like these are where people get their starts. It's either, hey, they're going to be in this for a while, which isn't bad. You're making movies, you're having fun. Or you see these people that are in these movies and they skyrocket and they're like in something else within a couple of years.
I can only imagine. I mean, and most of them are pretty thankful for that, while others can be sometimes, you never know what you're getting until it's too late. But for the most part, most of them have had pretty lucrative careers, and even, I mean, people like C. Courtney Joyner. He's been working since the 70s. He's the zombie in the original Dawn of the Dead who burst through the window. That iconic scene.
Oh, wow.
And all the times we've talked to him, I mean, he's even asked to do numerous movies and documentaries, and he's a fucking delight. And often he'll just laugh it off. He's like, I guess so. I would hope that careers keep coming out of it, because even people who have been in them, I mean, you got nothing else. You got to just laugh it off. It is a goofy movie studio, and that's literally the only point. And I see so many other people, they will overthink it to death. Oh my God, what are they thinking? I'm like, they weren't thinking. They were thinking about how to get this goofy movie done and make you laugh. That's all they were thinking. Unlike anyone else who's probably going to be, I don't know, a piece of work. Because it really gets upsetting when you hear about people who got, like, they didn't get paid, or they got injured and there wasn't any insurance on the low budget movie. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it can happen when you see, again, you mentioned Furstenberg, who's made a living doing those American Ninja and New Image films. I find it interesting seeing the guys who are responsible for Maniac and Maniac Cop, as well as McBain and some of those other movies, because same kind of deal. And that they all had different takes on how they did everything. But if they've had a departure or breakup, it was going to happen eventually here and later. And Charles, the most he had was Stuart Gordon just worked differently, and Brian Usna had a disagreement about what money he was owed. But he's much of the same kind of guy, where he does kind of deliberately trashy and over the top be pictures like The Dentist and Society. And he was kind of my
I chatted
guy.
with him.
You did do a good job chatting with him. That's true.
Well, no, I wasn't saying that. I was saying I chatted with him, but thank you for the compliment. But
I thought you did. Wasn't there?
No, I did talk to him. No, I thought you heard me say I did a good job with it.
I thought it wasn't an interview.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I interviewed him. No, nothing. No, you're right. But when I talked to him, or even just thinking about, I think that's where it might have came out. Maybe it was Sam, but looking at the movies he produced, and just like Ghoulies, Reanimator, like so many of those movies in the 80s, Dolls, Terror Vision.
I forgot he wrote down Dolls. That's the power of Charles Band. So, like, which one of those do you consider more of a Charles movie and using as a gun for hire versus using his vision with Band's money? You know what I mean?
That's a great question.
When you look at a Joel Silver production and say that's his money on the screen, and he had just as much say as the, John McTiernan or Walter Hill, versus he just provided the explosions and everything else was just a lucky mistake.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because it's so funny when you look at like the Usna movies, like when he worked with Stuart Gordon, like you look at like, there's just like, there's such great weirdness in those movies. I think the special effects, like Scream Mad George, like In Society, like that end sequence.
So hard to find a DVD copy of Faust, let alone a Blu-ray.
Really?
And I see so many people who hate it, and I had memories of it because I loved watching it growing up on SyFy Channel. That was my introduction to Mr. Air Force One Wishmaster guy, Andrew DeVoe.
Oh, really?
And see him as that guy with the snake with the white hair. Like, yeah. And he's been in a few of them too, I think, for Full Moon. Hell, that would be the way to do it. Make him be the ultimate Trancers villain.
But there's so many of those movies that he, before Full Moon became Full Moon, it's pretty wild when you really think about it, how many things he worked on that people started on. Laser Blast. I've interviewed like 2 or 3 people that started on that, and then went on to be like special effects guys on like Ghostbusters,
voice actors,
a ton of stuff. Yeah,
they even had the balls to blow up like a Star Wars poster. Who does that in your movie? Leonard Maltin gave it a 2.5 out of 4. That doesn't happen overnight. Many people saw that one for whatever reason on Mystery Science and have referenced the gun, I think, in Doom and Quake type games. But yeah, Screaming Mad George.
Oh yeah,
is a
that looks
Beyond.
like it. You know what? That's right.
It
The
might
gun
be.
from Laser Blast, because Steve Neal, who was in it, and he does special effects. I chatted with him a while back, but he did like a full remodel of the gun and
Did he
his
really?
like outfit he did. And you know what's funny? It does kind of look like that gun.
The BFG.
Maybe they're owed some money there.
Because I mean, there's been all kinds of crazy video games that have referenced just bizarre, obscure, like B pictures. Like every once in a while, you'll see The Simpsons reference Trilogy of Terror, which only a 70s telefilm or disaster movie addict would know about. I've seen video games that have referenced Killdozer of all things. So yeah, it kind of was. I'd like to think Laser Blast or Puppet Master is referenced in some capacity. I mean, I think the closest second you're going to get to him, if it's not Yuzna, might be Don Cascarelli,
Yeah,
the Beastmaster Phantasm guy, because they knew what they were, and they also, like, they weren't leaving it anytime soon. They're like, hey, I'm comfortable here with my own empire, and I applaud him for just deciding, okay, video's taking over. I'm going to take over with digital stuff and be even campier. I mean, you can't decamp the sky. you can't make him be any less goofy than he already is. I mean, he has the easiest gimmick in the world. Have beautiful people on the poster, have something that promises crazy gory effects, and then have the slogan be a pun that you just can't help but just shit boulders guffawing at. Just, it's so stupid. Like half his movies, you will just guffaw. Like, it's a win for him if you just, back in the day, I mean, video stores don't exist anymore, but if they show up on Prime or Redbox, you're guaranteed you're going to look at the poster and guffaw about it for 20 minutes.
Yep. No, I know.
That's
what the best part about the video store was, because you could pay somebody to make like the greatest box cover art, have the greatest synopsis on the back. And you're like, man, I'm gonna write this, and then you're fucked, man. I don't know if they would ever be like, I mean, this movie sucked. They'd be like, sorry, man, you're 99 cents. We can't give it back to you. Because that's what it was. Like, it was cool, because that's why I probably watched so many movies I probably would never watch, or like we had the illegal black box as a kid, so I would watch like whatever movie was on, like HBO, Showtime, pay-per-view. So like that's what I did all day long. Like, that's all I would do.
It's
soak it all in.
The best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you just more kinder to people for when you see them legit wanting to make an over-the-top goofy movie. I mean, for God's sakes, I already pledged $250 to an upcoming Cynthia Rothrock, Don the Dragon Wilson martial arts western. I was like,
oh, nice.
I don't
Richard
care
Norton is in that cast now, too.
Yes, he is.
Pretty
I don't
rad,
give a shit if it's a hunkin' pile. Just something good is bound to come out of that, even if there isn't. You know what I mean? Because we seem to have this subculture now where if it's not A24 or Marvel, people want to shit on it. And it's like, no. That is gatekeeping. That is just as bad as gatekeeping before there was such a thing as gatekeeping. Yep. It's just like, because when you watch these goofy movies, it kind of just reminds you about how these are literally the same as a big giant blockbuster like Deep Blue Sea or Indiana Jones. It's just,
love those two choices.
Well, it's very particular.
I know. I agree. I agree with you.
Star Wars, Alien, Predator, Jason, Freddy, it's just like they're literally a B picture, but they got a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Versus these, which are filmed for 10,000, which used to be the magic number.
Yeah.
To quote Pee Wee Herman. Ah!
No, but you're right. When I saw that Kickstarter for them, I'm like, that's so cool, because Cynthia and like those movies, she did a ton of movies over the years, but like those late 80s, 90s, early 90s, this was like such a good sweet spot for her and Richard when they were working together.
They're all three of them are so positive. So many others would have taken it themselves too seriously or been butthurt by people being pricks. And it's like, no, if you're good, just mind your business. Eventually you'll get fans who do want to see your goofy cyborg killing movies, or fight to the death movies. It just seems like so many others have just become stuck up over the years to where they're just impossible to work with, or they can't not talk shit. Like they'll just do the whole, "Ooh, I was Jackie Chan before it was cool." It's like, what? It doesn't have to be a rivalry. There doesn't have to be any haterade. You can just make what you love.
You can coexist.
You can
not be in the,
exactly, room for everybody.
Yeah,
There's
you don't
Marvel,
have to
there's
work
DC,
together.
then there's Dark Horse Comics, and then there's Full Moon Comics and Van Gory. That's what I love too, is they really have done some wacky comic books for some of their goofy movies.
It's pretty funny that they didn't do Ghoulies Go to College. Like, I was pretty shocked that they didn't do that, because in that there is a comic book. And it's funny, they did something that Full Moon would do, would be to have their creatures in a movie like totally change what they do. Because in the second one they don't talk. In the third one they're talking and drinking beer and hanging out and oogling college girls and shit. You're like, this is something that Full Moon would do,
right?
But I was
They're
shocked.
the only one for that matter.
I know.
Oh man, but yeah, no, this has been a delight talking about this with you, because I see so many others who they just want to be shitheads about just, look how fake it is. It's like, do you actually get off of that, of telling people they suck?
Yeah, no, that's what
I don't get it.
That's what it's about movies. You watch a movie, and I think that's what's good about me and Jamie. Like, he loves just great movies, and that's fine. And
Which is the other
sometimes
funny
I
part.
can, I sometimes I can get him to appreciate it. Like, I feel like sometimes in the beginning when he's like, I didn't like this movie. And then when he's talking about it, he does have some glee in his voice. I can see the twinkle in his eye when we record. I'm like, I think you sort of like this movie, because there's some parts that he like, even when we just did Oblivion 2, like in that movie, there's some silly stuff. It's so like
Jamie is
breaking
awesome.
the fourth. Yeah, thank you. But it's like breaking the fourth wall of the, like, hearing Sulu say, "Beam me up, Scotty," and he drinks Jim Beam in Oblivion. It's like, to me, that's amazing. Like, that is so funny. And I love that Sam loved doing that. Like, he would like he told me, like, hey, I would love to do that in the Lifetime and Hallmark movies. Just have the random guy at the bar be somebody that I loved in the 80s and 90s, but they won't let him do it.
1,000%. Like, that's all they got left is these off-color jokes. Like, when Fred tries to make his dialogue even more stupid, that is amazing. And how he and Jim, did you ever hear about how he and Jim had a running gag where they saw how many Starship Troopers actors they could work with?
No, really?
They got so many Hallmark and Lifetime movies that they were able to work on with Van Dien, Muldoon, and Denise Richards. And this is,
oh my god! I feel like Jim worked with one of them. Because Jim for a little while was doing family movies for like the last 15 years.
Glad.
He was doing
Charles is the last one. Charles is the last one with any sense of humor and wanting tits in every other scene. So yeah, it makes sense that they want to get along and they can put up with each other's goofiness, and there it is.
Yeah, no, that's what you need. You need somewhere that people can do what they want, like do what those 80s movies were. Make like a Porky's, make like those type of ridiculous,
make a Pumpkinhead Wishmaster type movie. Hell, better yet, make Wishmaster 5. Team up with Lionsgate.
Wishmaster.
Make that. Make it. They might be the only ones who can actually put up money for that. But yeah, I mean, even when there is a stupid Puppet Master movie that's just too dumb for its own good, you have fun with it, because kind of like Albert Pion is kind of the experimental, part art house, part B-movie guy with ambition. Band is kind of the drive-in circuit who made direct-to-video, made-for-TV stuff fun. Like, if you were to even take away like half the sleaze and violence in half his movies, they would almost look like an X-Files or Star Trek episode, if not a Emmanuel, less hard movie. You know, it's just interesting how it's all worked, and everybody's been exposed, no pun intended, to their movies at one point or another, because they're just like you say, they were on pay-per-view and Showtime and Cinemax all the time.
Oh yeah,
It's
dude,
like,
you're watching them all the time. And you know what'd be great? Like, it's so funny. We're talking about, like, when it comes to like the Marvel, the A24, like those are the ones that people see, and those are the ones that
you
make
have
money.
to see it, man.
Oh, I know. And I haven't seen any of I think I've saw maybe Captain. Oh no, I didn't even see Captain America. I saw the first Iron Man in the
It's all
theater.
the
I think that's
classic.
it. Well, we did cover Captain America too, where it's sad that Christopher Lee was the bad guy in the movie.
Yes.
He didn't even have a bad guy name. His name was just it was a
Gestapo
Spanish
leader.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a Spanish name, and his thing was he was gonna age everyone. So he was like making it rain, like this toxic stuff that was making it at ready age. And Captain America was painting a picture of a cat, and his best friend was an old lady. It was bizarre. And he lived in the van. So like he went into his van and the motorcycle flew out. But
I'm gonna re-listen to it. I swear. That is so funny.
Yeah.
But that I once told Red Brown, you were the best Captain America, and he gave me a thumbs up.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, he was fun. He had fun with the role, and it was so campy. And that's what I think it would have been cool if we got to see a lot of those movies, like watching the old Incredible Hulk. Like, it's campy. It's like fun to see it that way. But no, my point is, like, I would love for like Charles or Jim, for that matter, whoever's directing it, to have like a Terrifier 2 moment.
Oh, you might.
Or one of those movies to, like, because I think that's game changing, like for Terrifier 2, because it just got announced they're going to do Terrifier 3, which of course that makes sense.
There you go.
But I think for those guys, and then they signed on with a big agent. So that's the way it should be. You should be able to nail that quote unquote B independent movie and then move up, like in sports, you do good in the minor leagues, you should get brought up. So I just think these movies just need to get that buzz again, because the reason Terrifier 2 got all that buzz was because there was reports on like ABC and NBC about people passing out in movie theaters.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's so
press.
rad. It worked. It worked.
And like you say, there is room for everybody to have their day in the sun, but there's even more for them to at least, I mean, Frightmare and some of these other conventions will gladly screen it. It's like, see, that's just as cool as going to the theater.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting down with other like-minded people and you know what you're in for. It's kind of a party in and of itself. You're not only watching the movie, but you're also watching other geeks react to it. So it makes it even more meta instead of, oh, well, I'm feeling uncomfortable, because these people aren't getting it, and I'm laughing like a psycho at it. But yeah, no, Terrifier 2 was a good. I think it's breaking the mold. It's reminding people we can all watch cheesy B movies without getting annoyed of them trying too hard to be silly or schlocky. There's no telling where it's going to go from here, but I do hope, like you say, that there is a second coming for it all, instead of just, oh, well, you can't like that. Yes, I can. I just did.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
We just need somebody else to nail it. Like somebody else to have another type of movie, or even like a low budget, like comedy to hit. That hasn't happened in a while either, but fingers crossed it does, because then it gives people an opportunity, and it'd be cool if it was a full moon movie that just like maybe Subspecies 5. I think that comes out soon, right?
It is. And I can only hope that they do some other versus match. I mean, because you covered Freddy versus Jason, so I mean,
yeah.
They're bound to do another fun mashup. I mean, I even joked the other day they should make fun of the cocaine bear craze that was unexpectedly.
Well, they already did. There's already 2 movies greenlit for that.
Is there really?
There's
cocaine
there's
zombies.
Meth Gator. And I forgot what the other one was, but I don't know who's doing Meth Gator, but I'm like, you know what? That's what these movies are. Like, for the most part, like the B movies in the 80s, you see, like, how about like just thinking about the poster for, what is it, Sleepaway Camp 2 or 3? on the poster, she has a backpack with Freddy's glove and Jason's mask. And you're
and
like,
then imply that they're in the same universe. Blam.
I do it. I know. It's so funny.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man. So, where can we find the good, the bad, and the sequel other than Podbean and Spotify?
Where can you find? Well, you find it anywhere. You find it on Spotify. I make it easier to tell people just go to sequelsonly.com. It was a lot shorter than doing the good, the bad, and the sequel.com, or just trying to use the first letter of each thing. But yeah, and at Twitter,
cinematographer Ron Schmidt, Kathleen Kinmine, just about so many fun ones. Kinmine. Yes, even
I fell in love in an hour. I fell in love, and especially when she told me she was with the bassist from who that group that did the song Butterfly, Crazy Town, and his name was Doug, and I'm like, oh, this is something.
Yeah,
but no, she was really cool.
She is.
No, it's anyone you like, you the people you talk to, anybody that gives you the time of day. You know, obviously, for the most part, 99% of the time, it's going to be a good conversation. And when you get them to enjoy it and then they open up to you, like there's probably stories that people have told us. There's really down to earth guys that like movies. They're telling you stories that nobody ever probably heard before. And you're like, this is freaking cool. Like I didn't know Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon like wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and it was called Teeny Weenies. Like, why would I know that? And they were going to do it, but Stuart got sick. So then they really just got like story by credits. But yeah, so you can find us at Sequels Only on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Actually, I mean, I hope you guys work with some of the other guys who do all the Blu-ray special features, because this is, you know, you're just natural storytellers. I mean, I guarantee you the main actress in Hellraiser 5 hasn't talked since the movie came out, you know? It's like she kind of gave up acting, so it was so cool for you to just give her what she's been doing since then, you know?
Yeah, like who think the model from Deal or No Deal was a creature that was shoving her hands into, I forget his name. He's such a good actor. I like him too.
I'll read
Joe something, I think. But yeah, no, you're right. It is pretty cool that these people like have this opportunity to
they made their living doing this.
Heck yeah, man. It's good memories.
They used it as part of their stand-up act if that was their second gig.
Yeah. But thanks, Cam. This has been great, man. I love talking to you. I was just saying I've talked movies and Full Moon, and now you have to go find this. I think it's on Tubi.
Pet Shop. I promise you I will watch.
That's your
Pet
homework.
Shop.
You have to it's hard moving to a new town.
94. Boom.
Yeah.
First second result that just came up.
She's from nice. Okay. So she's from New York and she moved to Cactus Flats, Arizona. And she goes to a local pet shop, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Cam.
Thank you, man. I was looking so much forward to this chat this whole weekend because I just knew it was going to be a party. Someone who is ready to jam, isn't going to poo-poo anyone for doing stupid movies, and is just going to flat out just say, keep being crazy.
Oh, dude, just go with it. Dude, I've mentioned some weird ass shit that when we're doing the episodes because I love improv, I go off on the weirdest tangents because you think about these movies.
It's not
like,
weird. It's you, dude.
Oh no, it is me, but I'm weird. I'm
weird.
totally fine with
not
that.
Weird. You're embracing you.
I'm me.
Shame yourself. Please don't. I know you don't mean harm on yourself. You're not.
Oh no,
you're not endangering yourself. But I mean, really, don't. Love who you are.
I love me. No, my wife, I always look at myself in the mirror and say, but this is from Joe Gonzalez. Here are two Doug. Charles would be proud of you. I know I am.
Well, and you also, there's nothing better than talking about just how crazy certain movies are. When you were just going through trying to make sense of all the crazy characters in Psycho Cop 2, that made my day.
Oh, I know.
That is what I want to know. And unfortunately, how this get made doesn't really seem to want to talk about it anymore. I'm like, guys, this is interesting.
Oh, yeah. You a big How Did This Get Made fan?
Oh, totally. But Nowadays, they don't really seem to do as much research, and that kind of bugs me. I'm like,
yeah, you know what's funny? You know what? That's why I like Jamie's a big fan of the live. I like all the episodes, but I like in the studio because I feel they do more front to back, and that's what I like to do.
They get a little
when we
nervous
review a movie, we go in order. But they used to do that like in the I listen to a lot of the old ones, but you're right. No, I do miss the research and the behind the scenes stuff.
I mean, to even have some of the same guys who were on the movie, that was what killed me every time. Like, you seriously got them in the audience and told everyone in the audience, shh, we're going to call in you. Just don't say anything for the first hour. Like,
oh yeah, dude, Ladybugs. When they had the girl from Ladybugs in the audience?
Ladybugs and The Room, and they had your sister on there. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow.
The greatest ever on there. I don't know. I pay for Stitcher You know, it's funny. I pay for Stitcher Premium. But I'm not even joking with you, Cam. I paid for it like 3 years ago, one time, and I have it, and I have it for free forever, I guess. But no, when what's his name, Blake was doing those interviews for like only 12 episodes, but he was doing those "How did this get made?" interviews, and one of them he calls Mel Brooks. If you haven't listened to that, it's amazing. He talks about how solar babies almost put him he almost lost his house because of solar babies.
Those are amazing. Please. So it's Stitcher, I've seen something. It's extra Mel Brooks.
That's they should be. I forgot the name of them, but I'm sure you know what. For the most part, like if you can't find it on there, they're usually on YouTube. Like Mel Brooks. How did this
get made? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they're called something else, but why the fuck is it on there? Come on, man. But it's definitely on Stitcher.
Hey.
But no, they're pretty good because he talks.
Earwolf, a conversation with Mel Brooks, 2016. Got it.
Nice. Yeah. No, you'll enjoy it because it's pretty cool because he really talks about like how he was not tricked, but like filming in another country, thought he was going to make money on it. And then he was like losing money because they were using too much film and he had like mortgage. It's pretty cool. It's pretty wild. And
those are the
it's
best
great because
stories.
He doesn't stop. He just
they get
starts it off. Oh, totally. But he like right from the beginning, he goes like, I'm going to tell you the greatest story you ever heard. And then he doesn't. And he barely talks for the rest of the thing. It's just Mel Brooks going for 45 minutes. Good stuff. The other ones are good too. Like he interviewed Kelly Maroney, which is good. I think it's Dan Gordon is really good because it's like 2 or 3, and he's the one who talks about the mafia because he directed some cool movies too. But,
and then just the fact that all these goofy guys, in a way, kind of made all these other famous celebs kind of gave them the best experience ever, and it's an experience no one ever asked them about. And like you say, they found the most creative ways to kind of drive some of the shady, sleazy guys in the industry out of business to where they won just by humiliating them with humor. They survived. It was like, hey, you're gonna take a pay cut. You're gonna work for me. No, I'm not. Okay, fine. I'm fucked. I'm gonna file chapter 11. Is this humor solves everything? It clears the room. It makes you work harder on your ethic, and then it can work as part of your method of however you make a living. Oh,
yeah, dude. Where are you from, Cam? Are you from the West Coast?
I'm from crazy Dallas, Texas. I got family in San Francisco. For those who can't watch our video,
oh yeah, you're Central Time. Oh, so you're in Dallas. Nice, dude.
I just got back from a family gathering in Ann Arbor.
Where are you from originally? Are you from Dallas?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
How about yourself? You Ohio native or Jersey native?
No, I'm Jersey. I'm from Jersey.
Yeah.
Jersey, born of the mafia. But dude, let's connect. You should in the next few months I'll shoot you a message and I'll send some movies. You should come and do a review, dude.
Sure.
It'd be fun.
I'll find out vacation time. I'll find something.
Totally, dude. But no, definitely, dude. Because you're like me. Like, just say whatever comes to your mind. You know, don't stop going.
gonna do after we finish recording?
What am I gonna do right now? I think I'm going to.
I gotta watch the kookiest movie high.
No, I gotta finish Cliffhanger. I haven't seen Cliffhanger in a long time. That's why when you mentioned that before about Greg,
God.
Sometimes I randomly watch these movies and it's people I talk to in it, and I don't even think about it. But it's so funny, like how underrated John Lithgow is as a bad guy. He murders his girl.
Yes, he does.
And that is like insanity the way he does it too. And now I'm the only pilot here. I'm like, whoa. It's solid. I love those movies, like Seagal, like those movies, that era of that 80s, 90s action movie. I can't get enough of it.
Ricochet, all those other just crazy movies that you're like, this was a thing.
Piper, like the Piper movies. I went through a Piper binge last week. I did a double feature of They Live and Hell Comes from Frogtown, and you're like, fuck, man, what am I watching? But it's like so good. I don't know. But
and the fact that it can happen still. Like you can still interview these people. You can be on a Blu-ray special feature or commentary track.
Frogtown, man. I want to do a Frogtown sequel. There's 2 of them actually.
Right? Oh, let's do They Live Again. We're gonna do Roddy Piper tribute.
Wait, there's They Live Again?
No, I'm just saying let's make it a reality. If
make it. I was
if
like,
we're gonna make sequels to Roddy Piper movies, man. I mean, who would you consider? I think Bautista's as close as we can get to Roddy
Who would
Piper.
be the Piper guy? I was trying to think if there's any like heelish wrestlers now.
Adam Copeland. Some of those guys have finally lowered their
Copeland.
ego.
Yeah, Copeland's doing he did Money Plane, right?
That, I mean, but for fuck's sake, he was on the last 3 seasons of Vikings. The dude was so accomplished. Oh man. Hell, have him be an evil Bong.
Bond
13. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
But you rocked this episode. You dominated it. Everybody, check out Doug's show. He aced it.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up